This is Echo 3, and let's continue our career mode discussion. I've not forgotten about the career save, I just had some other ideas for videos that I was trying out. At Mission Control, we can see what contracts are available to us. Rescuing Alkin from the surface of the Mun looks like it could be fun to do. Plus, it'll be a good boost to our budget and reputation. Now, if we're going to the Mun, we should look at what other contracts we can fulfill. Recovering science from the Mun's surface should be simple, since we were planning on going there anyway. Planting a flag can also be done without any additional effort. And lastly, we can haul a satellite on this mission and deploy it. These 3 additional contracts will make the first one even more valuable for almost no extra cost. Completing multiple contracts in a single launch is one of my favorite ways to earn funds. I also enjoy planning how to make the most out of every mission. With our contract confirmed, we now need to design a capable craft. I think the best place to start will be to design our satellite. The contract only stipulates the probe has to have an antenna, power generation, and the thermometer. My first thought was to try and make this a relay, but at this point in the game, we have little need for a relay around the Mun. Plus, it adds a lot of extra mass and awkwardness to the probe, so I decided to use a basic design. A little fuel and an ant engine will be enough to position our satellite once it's in orbit around the Mun. Below the probe, we can build our rescue lander. I wanted to use a direct ascent mission profile. Due to the low delta V requirements for the Mun, a simple design like this can work well. We just need to make sure our craft has everything we are going to need. Little things like parachutes and the ability to decouple the engine section make landing back on Kerbin a lot easier. We do not need to use a lander this big. We could have used a probe and a single-seat lander for the rescue, but I'm hoping to get Valentina some experience points, so I'll send her to pilot the craft and a science to do sciencey things. That leaves us an empty seat to rescue our stranded Kerbal from the surface. One nicer thing about the solar panels and landing legs and surface experiments, now we have a lander that we can use to land and return science. This will be a 3-stage rocket, so for our middle stage, we need something to finish our circularization around Kerbin and eject us towards the Mun. I think the skiff engine will be just about right for this stage. It's more of a 1.8 meter size part, so I'll mount it on an engine plate. The engine plate will also act as the decoupler so we can plan the rest of the rocket. I should probably put a fairing around the top section too, especially to protect the delicate parts on the satellite during the launch. We can finish our rocket by designing the booster stage. This needs to get us most of the way into orbit so the skiff won't have to fire until we're in the upper atmosphere. The mainsail engine provides more thrust than the craft needs. I would like a slightly lighter, slightly less powerful engine, but it looks like the mainsail is the best engine available to us. At this point, I prefer a starting thrust-to-weight ratio around 1.3. We're going to get around 1.46. I find this makes doing the gravity turns just a little harder, but it'll work. I just like a little lower thrust-to-weight ratio. Now, what I need here, add some fins and some launch clamps to finish this rocket off. I first tested this rocket without launch clamps and it tipped over, so put launch clamps on. As we launch our newly designed rocket, I will tell you of the failure of my first attempt on this mission. Everything was going very well, but after landing on the Mun and rescuing the stranded Kerbal, I became overconfident in my abilities, and I thought I had plenty of Delta V and skill. I wanted to launch directly from the Mun surface into a close encounter on Kerbin's atmosphere. I misjudged my trajectory, and I ran out of fuel, and my periapsis was not very close to Kerbin's atmosphere at all. Well, I thought I'll just get out and push the craft with my Kerbal to lower the periapsis and save the mission. Well, after my 4th time refilling my Kerbal's RCS fuel and pushing, I realized my periapsis was still rather high. In the end, I decided just to redo the entire launch and try again. I should have made a quick save on the Mun, but no, I'm too good for that. I didn't need to be bothered with pressing the quick save button. Well, anyway, as we're off to the Mun, so far this mission is going well. I had been asked what mods I am using. For this video, I am using Distant Object Enhancement Continued, Eve, Kerbal Alarm Clock, Kerbal Engineer Redo, Planet Shine, RCS Build Aid Continue, Real Plume, Scatterer, Texture Replacer, Trajectories, and Astronomal's Visual Pack. I have since changed what mods I am currently using, but I had these installed when I recorded this. For satellite contracts, it is very important to note which way the target orbit is going. You can see the faded orbit lines around the Mun. Note which way it is going so you can have your satellite orbit the correct way. If you see the ascending or descending nodes with a number close to 180, then you are orbiting backwards. So you can see I am setting up my periapsis and we'll be going around the Mun the correct way, so when I deploy my satellite, we won't have to do any major inclination changes to fix that. We're going to set up our orbit here and get into nice low orbit. Then we will detach the satellite and have it do its thing while the lander does its thing. I'm not going to worry about finishing the satellite contract right away. I'm going to do the lander part first, and that will be how we do that. Our stranded Kerbal is not near the equator, so we will have to make a costly correction burn to change our inclination. But I'm going to combine the inclination burn and the deorbit burn. This does have some delta V savings thanks to the old a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I'm going to be using the mod Kerbal Engineer Redo to help me plan my landing. You'll see a red circle. It looks kind of like a bullseye. It's probably not as good as the trajectories landing indicator, but it's going to be more than adequate for what I need here. Upon our landing, I'm going to try getting us as close as possible. So you can see I've put the lander, the landing indicator past the target, and when I fire my engines to slow down, that will move right about on top of the craft. So that's my goal here. If you can land within 2 kilometers of the target, I'll be within physics range and can switch directly over to the stranded Kerbal. And we are pretty much right over them. So we'll just descend here, and this is going to be pretty easy, I think, for us to rescue our stranded Kerbal. Yeah, we're going to land right next to them. Ideal. And once we land, we'll use the bracket keys to switch over to Alkan. Nice, gentle. All right, perfect. And he's just right over there. I switch over to Alkan, and, well, since we're here, we'll plant the flag, and we can gather some surface science and a crew report, and just have him use his RCS thrusters and get right over to the capsule. Oopsie. Good thing she's tough. Now let's try getting in the capsule again. We can gather a little bit of science before we get in, and we are in good shape. And all our crew reports. Now we're going to launch. Now we're not on the equator, so I'm just going to launch and get us into orbit. I'm going to launch about 45 degrees, and that'll work. Just get a low orbit, and we'll be all right. We're going to wait to go back to Kerbin. Once we get into orbit here, I'm going to switch back over to the satellite and finish the satellite contract. Here we go. And I just need to change my inclination a little bit. And then once we get that done, here at, you can look at the ascending and descending nodes. That's the place to change your inclination here to match. We've got plenty of delta V to do this. Now I need to extend my orbit out just a little bit here, and we will probably complete the contract, I think. Looking good, looking good. Little burn. And yeah, these satellite contracts, you just got to be close. You don't have to be exact, but you do have to be orbiting the right direction. All right, that contract's complete. Back to our craft. And I'm going to wait until my orbit lines up with the Mun's orbit around Kerbin, so I can eject away from the Mun, retrograde to its orbit around Kerbin. This will be the least costly as far as delta V, My budget is a little bit tight, which, you know, from the first time I failed, I should have realized my budget was tight. This time I'm going to be a little bit more careful, and that's why I waited to eject the mun. We are good. We're going to just decouple our lower stage here and let our craft go into the atmosphere and slow down. We'll aero brake and touch down. And those of you who have been following my life, the very few of you, we had some rain this week. Gave me a little bit more time to play Kerbal Space Program. Can't harvest when it's raining. And that's, you know, kind of fun. Get to play my career a little bit and record it so you guys can watch it. And we're going to be safe. Shoots. All right, good. Landing with the sunset or sunrise. I'm not even sure. I didn't pay attention. Well, this is gonna, there we go, safe, and we'll recover our craft. And, well, lots of science, not that much, but did well with our funds and our reputation. I'm not sure where I'm going next. If you guys have any ideas, you can let me know. And I will see you next time. Thanks for joining me on this career mode discussion.